unless they can communicate openly and honestly about their wants, their needs, and their desires, without fearing some self-help / religion, moralistic reprisal from their spouse, their communication is doomed. And it's for this very reason that most Vanolas feel that they have to be dishonest with one another. If I can make one guarantee here this evening, is that without honesty, that on some level, infidelity is practically a given. Now, swingers and other people who practice secular and variant lifestyles, we really don't have this problem, and we have others for sure, and I don't want to imply that this is any kind of marital utopia, because let me make it very fucking clear, by itself it is absolutely not. But we don't have this problem, and I gotta tell you, this one's a biggie, because sexual frustration will invariably seek its expression elsewhere, whether it's through Facebook or money issues. Part of the reason that we're able to be in this lifestyle, or in these lifestyles to begin with, is because we've had this kind of conversation before, and we grant each other the liberty to express our libido to one another without having to feel guilty. Now, the question I'm asked most often, and probably the reason a lot of you are sitting here right now, is how do people who negotiate non-monogamy deal with the issue of jealousy? And it's a great question. So to offer some perspective, to communicate this better, I've developed a little bit that I like to call muffin logic. Try and stay with me. I love my wife, madly and hopelessly. Her happiness means everything to me. Anytime I have a chance to put a smile on her face or make her life a little bit better, that's what I try to do, because I'm a great fucking guy. Now, among my many amazing talents is I bake these delicious muffins, which I have to tell you, I just to die. And every Sunday morning after first thing sex, which I love because I don't have to worry about my hair, we head down to the kitchen, put on some John Coltrane, make a pot of coffee, open the New York Times, and we eat these fabulous fucking muffins that I bake. Good? Now one Sunday we're invited to my friend's house for a delightful brunch. They put out a great spread. There's Danish pastries and bagels, and I can't help but notice the delightful aroma of freshly baked muffins in the air. Now I can tell my wife is really loving these muffins, because as she bites them, she keeps going, There's one time when she mutters the telltale, which is a sound I only heard her make with my muffins. Now, I'm not sure how I should react to this. Does this mean that my wife doesn't love my muffins anymore? Does it mean that she doesn't love me anymore? Should I become either sullen or withdrawn? Or should I fly into a rage? Should I employ a variety of tactics, all designed to dissuade my wife from her natural reaction? I mean, I don't want to get silly. And I realize that that analogy is lacking because, let's face it, there's no physical or emotional connection with a muffin. Although, I never had my muffins, but that's fair. That very night, we go out with a group of friends of ours. And I also love to make my wife laugh. As a matter of fact, it's my second favorite thing to do with her. And I'm told that I'm like mildly amusing in a compound fracture kind of way. Yet amazingly, if you know my friends, I'm not the only guy there who has the ability to make my darling bride titter and chuckle. There she is, just prattling on with one of my friends, having a roaring great time, laughing up in the corner. Oh, do I have a problem now? I mean, does this mean that my wife doesn't think I'm funny anymore? Does this mean that she doesn't love me anymore? I mean, this is twice now in the same fucking day this happened. First was that prick in the morning with the muffins, now with this other backstabbing asshole with the audacity to be funny. Should I get possessive and try and limit my wife's interaction with people with no kitchen skills or sense of humor? Would that be an effective way to show love, trust, and respect? Now, I realize I've yet to give an example of pleasurable physicality. All right, well, what about a massage? What if my wife were to go out and get a fantastic rub down that made her muscles relax and feeling wonderful? That would be an example of one person giving another person intense corporeal pleasure through direct physical contact. People like getting massages, it's not because they're all masochists serving penance. But the difference between all of these examples and the reason people get so uptight and jealous over sex is because we have been conditioned by religion and self-help to put a disproportionate value on conjugal fun. And those examples exist to serve their end, not ours. No one with any rationale would ever dream of denying someone they love, muffin, or laughter, or even a massage. It's kind of accepted that putting restrictions on someone you love is not an act of love at all. Interdependent, loving couples revel in knowing that they're encouraging each other's animation and want them to do the things that they love doing, because that's part of what makes them who they are and why they fall in love with them in the first place. Except when it comes to sex. We have been conditioned as a society, and women in particular, to equate the act of sex with emotion, and that there must be an emotional connection. all no different. And if any of you have a fucking spine, you won't back me up on this. There's not a guy on earth, ladies. It's not that we don't love you, but there's not one guy on earth who, if he were to be honest, couldn't tell you that we could. I'm not saying we would or that we should. I'm saying we could. Run to the store to grab a carton of milk and through some chance encounter, get a fluid draining Hummer from some random hottie we don't even know, come home without the milk and love you just as much as when we left. Guys all know that act is just kind of what it is. It's fun. Hell, you didn't need an emotional connection to really enjoy it. There's lots of things I love to do for fun that I don't have an emotional connection with. I happen to be an avid golfer. I love ultimate frisbee, but given the opportunity, I would prefer to have little Richard wither into fellatio-induced atrophy every single time. The examples where people tend to make emotional connections outside of the confines of their marriage is when their emotional needs aren't being met at home. I have to tell you, that's much more likely to happen in a vanilla scenario than it is in one of these secular lifestyles. The thing is, what's difficult for men, because of the patriarchal nature of the societies that have created our melting pot, is men have a difficult time applying this same logic to women. You know, giving women the liberty to explore their natural inclinations without feeling moral reprisal. I mean, hell, we could look to, say, the Middle East and see how the barbaric savages there are able to legally beat their wives if they get a little lippy with them, how they're made to wrap themselves up, not allowed to vote or to drive, how they're often treated like property, as they are. Not to mention the inhuman sadists in Africa who remove women's clitorises because they do not feel that they should be able to be permitted to enjoy the act of sex. And I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody's liberal sensibilities, but I say this with pretty much a whole lot of confidence that if a culture condones violence against women, then said culture sucks.